All right, so we were getting ready, Ellen and I were getting ready for our fall planting. Initially, it kind of started because we were interested in getting rhubarb, trying to grow rhubarb here. Some people say if you plant rhubarb seeds in the fall, you can harvest in early spring. Other people say it'll grow throughout the year. You can grow it as a perennial here. And some people say that you can't grow it at all. So we're going to give it a shot. We're going to plant some of these now in late August, early September, and some in the spring. We have grown all of these pretty much, or tried to grow all of these here previously, and we're narrowing it down to the ones that have done well for us and or the ones that we want to do well for us and maybe we didn't have success previously. A good example of that is dill.
Yeah, we have, that's a couple chives, haven't been able to grow chives from seed here, but we have 4 packages of dill. So we're just going to throw those all on the ground like a Hail Mary pass, last ditch effort to get that dill going.
Right, and we're going to try to plant them in different areas of the yard. We have square foot garden, we have an area with a lot of pine needles, so it's maybe more acidic, and it has afternoon shade. We have an area on the north side of the house that's shaded all day long pretty much. We have other areas that have different microclimates all over the yard, so we're going to try them in a bunch of different areas, and if we're successful we probably won't know which variety it is, but hopefully we'll be able to collect the seeds of one that's successful and go from there.
So that we kind of did that with the mustard. We planted this mustard, the Florida broadleaf, and this mustard, the southern giant curled, both in our square foot garden and around our trees where we just have, our little drip line and our infiltration basins. And then we harvested these mustard seeds. So we're just kind of what's doing well, what actually lived long enough to go to seed. So these are the ones we know did well, but we also have these packages from last year that we're thinking, let's just use up. Let's get in the ground. We know, what does mustard do, honey, for permaculture?
I don't recall.
It does something. We're pretty sure. And we know it grows, fairly, okay. And we know it grows fairly well here. So we have our little vegetables that we're going to try in the ground that did well last year.
That's a dragon
thanks,
carrot from Seed Savers
in Decorah, Iowa.
Where we got to go this summer.
Yeah, and so we grew out that dragon carrot there from Seed Savers, and we just tried our hand here. I'm going to bring into the shop this big old lunch bag because our dragon carrots went to seed, and I just pulled off the heads here and threw them in a bag. That's like pretty lazy, but this one still has a bunch of the little seeds in here. I'm not sure. Is that focusing? So this head here still has all the seeds in it. So rather than go through and be meticulous, I just shoved them in a bag. So we'll see if that works, the lazy Seed Saver collection. But the idea of the heirloom varieties from places like Seed Savers is that you can let it go to seed and then replant it and it'll grow true. So even though Seed Savers is awesome, we actually didn't love these carrots the most. The ones that we liked the best that we grew were the Scarlet Nantes. How do you say it?
I'm not sure.
The Scarlet Nantes and the Mini Nantes
And
variety, Littlefinger.
And then also this very old packet of Oxheart.
It grew pretty well for us.
Which grew well. It took quite a while to germinate, so we weren't sure that they were going to go, but they finally did, and they grew well into the summer heat, and they didn't get fibrous and tough very early on, so we were able to enjoy them for quite a while.
Yeah, and that's from another, seed. That's also from a seed exchange, Seed Savers, obviously. It says right there. There's some flowers up here I want to try. I always like to try to attract the pollinators to our garden.
We have this black hollyhock that we had gotten at Seed Savers
In Decorah this summer.
Thomas Jefferson grew these, so that was pretty neat. And we already have hollyhocks growing. We have red and white and pink, kind of the standard colors. So we thought it might be neat to try these and get a nice mixture of different colors going and see how they do here.
Maybe some will stay true black. Other ones, you know, may become interbred. And the zinnia, I've had not so much success here at this house. So I'll probably just throw all those in the ground in a small area and see if I can get them to go.
These are also zinnias here.
Yeah, I don't know. This might not be the right time for zinnia.
Right. And part of what we're doing here is just getting old seeds in the ground, and if it's their time to grow, they'll grow. If it's not, maybe the seeds will overwinter and come up in the spring. So it's just a matter of, some of these are fairly old, and what's the point of just leaving them in a bag in the closet when we could get them in the ground, and whatever grows happily will grow happily, and we'll keep the aggressive weeds down as best we can, and see what good stuff we can get going here. We have a lot of Valerian, which I've tried to grow before, and this packet's quite old here and not had success with. Again, something I'm interested in growing, and we'll just try different locations in the yard.
Same goes for the yarrow. We actually do have a yarrow growing that we grew.
Grew from a plant. We bought the plant at a nursery.
So we'll just get those in the ground.
And it's done pretty well all summer. It had beautiful flowers in the spring and early summer, and it's been a nice looking plant, fairly nice looking plant through the rest of the year. So if we can just get them established, I think they'll do okay. It's just getting over the initial hump. We're going to, not all of these probably, but the ones that we really want to kind of nurse along, we're going to put on a wet paper towel in a plastic bag for a day or so to give them time to hydrate fully, and then get them in the ground just to give them a little jump start. The ground's damp right now because it's been raining, but by tomorrow, if we don't get any more rain, it'll be pretty dry on the top, so give them a little jump start. Here's licorice. I've tried to grow this variety, and I can't remember another one, American variety, and I haven't had luck with either, but I'm still interested in how it tastes, the roots. So I'll try again. They say planting time is spring, but since we're in the desert, everybody else's planting times don't necessarily coincide with ours, so we have to kind of experiment. Some plant seed packs will give you kind of a generalized idea with different areas and different planting times, and oftentimes in the Southwest, it's complete opposite time of the year from the rest of the country when you should be planting, or that is an option. So really we have to try different things here than the standard.
We had really good success with this arugula last year in the cold.
We enjoyed the taste, and yeah, it was easy to grow.
French breakfast was also delicious.
French breakfast radishes. We also grew another variety of radish. I can't remember if we pulled that one out, but we enjoyed the French breakfast so much that, oh yeah, we do have that.
We have these, which are like soil busters, according to the permaculture folks. And if you leave them to rot, then they create aeration in your soil, and the worms will want to come in there and really open up your soil. So we have like a desert type soil that's pretty denuded of nutrients and organic materials. So this is a great little plant, according to the permaculture people, to do that. So we have some that have actually volunteered that are growing along our little walkway.
Right. Yeah, we let the plant get huge. It made all these giant seed pods, and we collected some. I don't think we pulled them out.
We actually did. They're over here.
Okay, so we collected some, and then we also have volunteers that came up just from seeds that dropped from the plant. So yeah, radishes and carrots, things like that, all do best here in the winter. Peas, you can't grow that stuff in the summer. It doesn't do well. So.
And we haven't had great success with chives, so we'll just get these packets out of our lives, or get a happy little chive plant out of the deal.
We have grown chives from plants, transplanted plants in the square foot garden, and they're
Yeah.
doing pretty
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we know that they will grow here, and when I was down in the Phoenix area, I grew them there. So as long as they're shaded, I've had okay luck with growing them even through the summer, and they grow as a perennial in Phoenix. I don't know if they'll overwinter here.
These are just some cheapy little garden mixes that I've picked up for, next to nothing. See if anything likes it here in our climate. Okay.
Is that most of it? All of it?
So,
We have some collected peas. Still a little bit of duff in there, but we may or may not plant these. We still have the true to variety peas that we're going to grow. Last year we had tried sugar snap peas and Alaskan, I believe, and we enjoyed the flavor of the sugar snap better.
What are those then?
Melting sugar. So probably we'll grow these out without the other one, and then perhaps get a more pure variety of pea for ourselves. The Alaskan, they came on at different times, and there were different levels of sweetness at different times, and different how fibrous they were. But these seem consistently for us in our environment to be a better tasting pea. We have 2 artichoke plants growing in the front yard, and one of them produced like one decent sized artichoke, which we didn't harvest. We let it grow to flower, and maybe 1 or 2 small ones. They've been in the ground for about a year, but we want to try different varieties. This is an old seed packet. These grow in Phoenix. I've had luck with them there. They'll grow as a perennial. They don't freeze back. They actually do best in the winter, and the artichokes are harvested in mid-spring before it gets real hot. And then in the summer, the plant looks like it's dying or dead, and its leaves are brown and on the ground. And I've left them there as kind of a mulch to keep the soil from baking under the plant. And then in the fall, it perks back up again. So we also have, these are the same, emerald.
That's like the cheapy common one you find.
This is the one you're gonna find locally, and something like this Violetta you're gonna have to order if you want to try it. These are good. They're a little smaller than maybe the emerald or the variety that they sell in plant form already at the nursery.
So that's a heritage seed, so we have high hopes for it. That might be one that we soak in rainwater.
Right. And we had tried to grow some in the spring in the square foot garden, which, they'll get too big for that, but just out of curiosity. And they came up, but they didn't last through the summer. And that could be, not enough water or a bad location or whatever. But we're going to put them out in the ground. They're 7-8 years old, so we'll be lucky to get much germination now. And hopefully if we get them growing, they'll make it through the winter. Winters are 15 degrees cooler here easily than in Phoenix, maybe more at times. We'll get cold rolling in off the mountain above us. So, we'll give it a shot, because otherwise they're not doing us any good sitting in a box. Alright, and here's another pea. These Austrian snow peas, we had bought a fairly large bag to just throw out everywhere, anywhere around trees and open areas where nothing else was growing, just trying to get some nitrogen in the ground and to make it look nice. They actually tasted okay. They were edible. They're not the greatest peas ever, but I ate some. I didn't make a meal out of it or anything, but I ate some when I was out in the yard. So these are ones we harvested. We have another bag somewhere that's bigger. These are ones that we harvested from our yard, and so we'll get those in the ground this fall and get some Austrian snow peas growing. They'll grow through the snow, whatever, they don't care. Some of these other plants we might throw a cloth on the very coldest nights. The plants specifically in the square foot garden, we don't worry about the others too much around the yard, but these are fine. They don't care about how cold it is within reason. So we do get snow here, and they did fine with that around New Year's. So something else.
Okay. So, anyways, it gets cold here sometimes.
We may end up planting some of these today and some throughout the week or when we have a chance. We have to start picking what's coming out of the square foot garden, what's harvestable, what's getting near the end of its life, and find room for these to get going in those, the ones that we're putting in the square foot garden. And the other areas, we'll just have to pull the mulch away and plant the seeds. If there's mulch, in the front yard we don't have too much, so we'll just be putting some around the trees, and there's mulch there, but like the Austrian snow peas, those are just going to go wherever.
They'll just get broadcast.
Broadcast, yeah.
You can soak them in rainwater. If you have rainwater, that's the best thing to soak the seeds in. And then just broadcast them. Soak them overnight or all day or however long you have. You don't want to do more than, I would say, 24 hours in the soak.
How do you soak them?
And, well, it depends on how many you have. Like in a bucket.
So you would like put the seeds not in paper towels or anything, you just put them in water, soak them, and then throw the whole mixture out on the ground or dump it out?
That's what I've seen them doing on other permaculture videos.
Okay.
When they redid that whole lawn.
Yeah.
So you could just put this in a bowl. Your best chance at germinating is to soak them overnight, not more than 24 hours, and then remove them from the water and put them on a paper towel.
And then how long do you leave them on the paper towel?
Wrap them in that kind of damp now paper towel, but not wet paper towel. Seal it up in a Ziploc bag with the name on it like this, and a couple days or until they sprout, or that'll just kickstart them into germinating. So you can leave them as long as till they sprout. You'll know which seeds are good and which aren't. That's a lot of work. It's pretty fussy. That's why we're only talking about doing that with our most desired, like the Violette artichoke, maybe the rhubarb, just because, boy, rhubarb is so delicious. We'd love to have that. The rest of the things that we're going to broadcast, like maybe the mustard greens, which seem to do well, we can just soak.
So here's the violette. Some of them look like they're pretty much goners. Yeah. That's like a half of seed, so that one's not going to be any good no matter what. But some of these may, still be viable if we're lucky. So Ellen grabs some bowls here.
And I have rainwater.
This is rainwater that we've harvested. Let me move these out of the way so we don't
get anything damp.
Yeah.
And then my little trick, other than carefully adding a little bit of rainwater, is to just set it somewhere out of the way where it's not going to get bumped, and just set it on the seed packet. That way you know exactly what's in each bowl.
And you're not having to label each bowl, and then when and if you put them in a bag, then label that. You're saving steps as long as it's not somewhere that somebody's going to be moving them around or confusing you, because these are pretty specific looking seeds. But when you get into something like carrots and radishes and other things and little seeds, who knows what it was, or if you have 3 or 4 varieties going at once, who knows what variety it is. So that can be frustrating if they get mixed up. So soak it in here for 24 hours or less.
Yeah, overnight is probably perfect, but sometimes you can't get right back to it.
Maybe tomorrow after work we'll put these in a bag and then see what sprouts.
Well, you definitely don't have to let them sprout in the paper towel. You can just give them a jump start by soaking them for a day or two till you have time or till it's convenient. I think this is some Swiss chard. I think we may just soak this for maybe half the day and then put some of this. We may just soak these for half the day and put them in the ground tonight.
Okay. And this Swiss chard we had really good luck with. It grew all through the winter and gave us nice greens all winter, and then lasted well into summer. Didn't bolt real hard like a lot of the greens here will. When it gets hot, they just bolt and they're no good anymore. These the Swiss chard stayed tasty. All right, that's gonna be a lot of editing
Yeah,
for
it
you.
is. I'm bored already.